You are constantly bombarded with many advice while you scroll on social media. People telling you what to do and pushes you around, making you hesitant and confused, or countless information being thrown at you that you can't even start to comprehend it. So the question now is, how do you develop that skill to solve these problems, to be able to stand firm in any adversities that tries to put you down, to build yourself, to be able to navigate a world of many perspectives, good and bad, that can make you fail or succeed. And that would be achieved by having a strong state of character. Character is made through habits, perhaps combined with the occasional luck or coincidence, but meaning comprises habits of deliberate decisions and choices you made in life that makes up your personality, principles, and values you practice. All these factors make up your character to be able to see in a deeper and broader perspective on every learning and experiences you make. And a part of our character is the foundation of our principles. Principles are trying to understand and to study fundamental truths of our existence, and again are understood through many perspectives, which are represented mainly by institutions, people, and fields of studies. For example, a scientist looking at the world through precisions of numbers, bits and bytes, patterns, and how it's similar everywhere, which builds the foundation of physics and engineering, to a biologist who studies the smallest cells of organisms, which makes her appreciate all living things, an artist who gives meaning to what he sees, to the world around him, and conveys it through a beautiful language, or a child who views the world as it is and tries to discover its wonders. Let's dive deeper into the idea of Einstein's theory of relativity. This principle was founded from reasonable knowledge and years of research that establishes the fundamentals about the nature of gravity. It broadened our understanding of science that led to the creation of valuable studies and technologies that we use today, thanks to that well founded principle. Our perspective to gain principles stems from somewhere, which is our environment. The origin of our character in every aspect of our environment is instilled to you from your family, culture, and the community you belong to, where we are more attached to what contributes more to your growth that builds your perspective. These aspects have a big influence on your character, as it is the backbone of your well being. It's where you survive, it's where you're being taken care of. Of course, if we find ourselves in a chaotic or dysfunctional environment, either we have a broken family, bad friends, toxic culture, or any destructive community, will weaken and make it significantly harder to work on a good character. We have different kinds of problems in uniqueness and intensity in different circumstances in different stages, which makes our perspective stem in different places. This also makes leaving your environment dangerous, as it disconnects you from what sustains you and to what gives meaning in your life. If you don't have an established character, we are unable to discern many perspectives, and we allow ourselves to be swayed away, or let others dictate our way of living. And there are great certainties that we will fall into the wrong company and it will destroy our character, such as the internet, which evolves a span of information on what happens anywhere in the world, but causes shallow understanding that leads to wrongful interpretations of events or people, that we develop the wrong perspective upon general aspects about it. Even worse than that, it makes us distant from our environment, our home, that we sometimes forget to be connected and our attention becomes divided. Although a person with a good character can discern the right perspectives that are being shown or told. If you choose to stay in the comfort bubble of our perspective, settling yourself to the environment you belong with, this could not be ideal if we isolate ourselves to change and innovation from looking to different views from different cultures. We also won't be able to defend our own. Let's bring out colonization, which is the way countries insist their own perspective to others in a violent way, destroying the environment, making it vanish alongside the identity of a nation. Of course, colonized nations fight to the death to defend their home, protecting the environment that took care of them and what made their whole character, which also proves the importance of loyalty to your principles. It's important to have a strong set of character as a foundation for us to explore different perspectives and something to fall into when we encounter obstacles and hardships that comes with risking ourselves to mistakes that's necessary for growth in improving our character. Then we can have a basis for choosing and deciding which perspectives are right and in accordance with your principles. In that way, we can also know what we lack, that we can recognize wrongful principles and perspectives, that can surely goes through our way, while we pursue newer and better founded perspectives that we must change immediately as we discover our mistakes to improve and avoid corrupting our character to having a deeper understanding of you and your environment so that you can be sure that whatever you found to your character are strong, well-founded principles, making your character stand on its own foot that embodies knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to all different walks of life. And that is the principle for us to search for the truth. Looking at the past based on strong foundations lets us discover history in a truthful and unbiased way. By building upon the works and knowledge of the past, it helps us in making better and greater innovation of smarter ideas, actions, and decisions that limits unnecessary mistakes and suffering as you progress, which is important given that history is convoluted and is more complicated than we think. And to retell history in a new perspective that can reshape today's principles. This sets a new standard that paves a way open into the future, with new opportunities and certain goals for you to achieve, thanks to what history has built that we often take for granted. But sometimes at a certain point, you will stumble upon a barrier that is in between you and your goal, and it becomes difficult, whether you want to pursue a profession or to just do something you haven't done before. The problem is that we cannot do that easily by ourselves, so you need to seek out stepping stones to have a good journey towards achieving your goal. We'll call this concept intermediaries, which is anything that is in between you and your goal. Having a strong character as a foundation lets you seek out guidance through mentors, communities, or institutions that are essential to help you move forward. But as you focus on your goal, it's important to remind yourself that there are others out there that work on different goals you need to consider, like the law or other people's interests, and not to rummage through it, cheating, lying, just to get to your goal quicker. And sometimes, that guidance comes in the form of a person, a bridge between confusion and clarity. This is where a teacher enters the story, not just an expert, but as a messenger of truth. Becoming a teacher comes by learning the fundamentals of something, which builds our knowledge alongside your credentials, and being able to teach that to somebody who cannot understand it from the original source. Having that accomplishment of learning and experience builds your status and authority that follows how dense and valuable what you teach. But the problem is, if you have achieved a level of professionalism, it may be hard for a student to match a certain standard and cannot keep up, hindering learning instead of achieving a better education. That's where the role of a middleman comes in, which is having the ability to teach relative that to a learner can comprehend, being able to grow and instill fundamental knowledge to them until they reach a certain level of understanding upon something. Aside from teaching is acting, which is a job that requires portraying a role by immersing through a character to deliver what perspective the vessel wants to represent and pretend as if it were real, that the viewer can relate to and say, "That's me." This process will make a relationship from a viewer to the character you're portraying that will serve as a bridge to understanding others, which is a factor in the importance of taking perspectives. Looking our character back then to what we have become now, just like when we rewatch a movie and get a new perspective on it, or looking differently at the same place you pass through every day in things you haven't realized before, or maybe looking grim, realizing that knowing something leads to even more questions and uncertainties instead. These are the results of having the principle of truth as your perspective. There's a lot of good things in this world, but it takes a good character to have the perspective to see it.